Welcome.
Oh, is it the intro music?
We're just going. Yeah, you like it?
Ryan's like, what is happening?
What is this obnoxious noise in my ears right now? It sounds terrible. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Fishing
Not Catching
Podcast.
Wow, you guys are
We've got Ryan Morie.
Why are you only wearing it on one ear?
Dude, this is like really loud. I don't know. Oh, there you go. I'm just
Yeah,
trying to figure this whole podcasting thing out.
We had to get people.
Like
We had to get people jacked up for it. What's
Oh,
going
yeah.
on? Something wrong? Our tech guy is. Oh yeah, you might have been
I
up a
don't know
little
if
bit.
maybe his headphone was turned up a little
When
too
you
high.
talk, you do want to be about 2 or 3 inches.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
2 to 3.
Can you measure that yourself?
I've been told I was that short my whole life.
What's up with your micro? What's going
I
on?
don't know what's
here?
going on here, man.
It's like off balance.
Okay, yeah. The producers were not ready for this podcast today.
We are terrible producers. Well, welcome to the podcast, Ryan.
Thanks, gents.
Yeah,
We're so glad to have you here.
Absolutely.
We were going to try to get you and Victor when we were down in South Florida, but it didn't really work out.
You
But
guys were exhausted from walking up and down the beach.
that's true. You kicked her
Walking?
Yeah.
butt. yeah.
Sprinting.
That's a nice way of putting
Yeah.
it.
I remember walking up, seeing Brad just drenched in sweat, seeing Sean Lawless looked like he just like got, I don't know, just shot at or something like that. Everyone was just shell shocked that they had to sprint down the beach, take one cast, and then the fish were gone, and they had
Yeah.
to sprint again.
It was intense. It was pretty freaking awesome, though.
Yeah. I
But
think
both
we
of-
all kind of like sort of had an idea of what to expect, but this was like way further than
Yeah,
what we
it
could have
was.
ever thought it was.
But it
gonna
was
be.
so epic. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I've always wanted to experience the mullet run, and like, I feel like we truly got to experience
Yeah.
the mullet run.
It was awesome.
And
was-
thanks to you guys. Like, I mean, really. I mean, you and Victor, we would not have been able to do any of that without your knowledge that you'd already imparted on us over years, and of course, guiding us while we were there. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
That was
Absolutely.
epic. I mean, you guys hit it literally on the perfect day, too.
I know.
Like, I've always known that happens on those beaches, but I've never been there, and I grew up fishing those beaches.
crazy.
So it's like the perfect scenario.
We're so lucky. Yes. It was awesome. But Ryan Morie on the podcast, man. How cool is that? Am I saying your last name right?
Yeah,
Is that
absolutely.
Morie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
I didn't
Not
know.
Morie.
Morie.
I've gotten Morie eel before.
I-
Yeah, you're not the first joker
Well,
to think of that.
sometimes when I say it, it comes out Morie. I don't mean for it to, but I try to say Morie. But
I'm
like
not worried
if I
about
say it kind of fast or something, it's like Morie.
Yeah.
I don't. So, but Morie.
Let's call you Juno Ryan.
Juno
Juno
Ryan.
Ryan. The
Man,
OGs know that.
yeah. Oh no, that's what I remember him as Juno Ryan. Obviously that's back when I used to watch his channel a lot. I don't watch anybody's channel now, but
No, me
back,
neither.
back in the day, I watched Juno Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you,
I did not.
bro? Come on,
I
man.
know.
Come on.
I know.
He was busy laying tile, living in Tennessee.
Yeah. I didn't start watching YouTube until 4 years ago, right before we moved here.
Yeah.
And I started watching you.
Yeah. Me
You were my first YouTuber.
catching some whiting.
Yep, yep.
Crushing it.
It's like,
Absolutely.
this is the pinnacle. This is the guy that I want to
That's what I want to be when I grow up.
Look at this guy catching whiting on the beach. Looks amazing. So, but you guys did something pretty freaking epic yesterday. I think we should go ahead while it's fresh on your brains. I mean, y'all are still lagging from lack of sleep.
Yeah,
I mean,
I didn't get very
I know a little bit because I've talked to Ryan a little bit, but I mean, just tell me, what the crap did you guys do yesterday? It sounds epic.
Well, Ryan crushed it. Ryan freaking crushed
He
it.
showed me a picture.
I mean, holy crap.
I mean, it was at least 9 inches. Like, oh, different picture.
Oh man. Yeah, we got an opportunity to go out with Captain Kurt Charters out at Dauphin Island, part of the Saltwater Sportsman's expeditions, and did a little tuna fishing. And it was
Not little tuna,
Yeah, I was
big
like-
tuna
we did
fishing.
From the
big
pictures, did
and
not
a
look
lot
very
of
little.
tuna fishing. It was incredible. Like I've done a little bit. I've been offshore
I see
a
you.
few times.
You got the
but-
hat too, man.
Yeah, they hooked us
ready
up
to
with
go.
some hats.
What do you got?
I was the only one not wearing the saltwater sportsman hat
not
yesterday,
repping.
actually.
Man.
I just did the flex fits fly off my head. I didn't want to be that guy.
No, I got a big head, so it fits fine. But all the other
thanks.
guys with small heads, it was just
Is it a fitted hat?
yeah.
Man, I haven't worn a fitted hat in like forever.
No, it's last year's hat, dude.
Yeah, lame.
Step it up, saltwater sportsmen.
you got to be like everybody else. Do the Richardson
Gotta have
trucker.
the snapback for the
Yeah.
small people.
That's right. All right, sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, you're good. But yeah, we went out to Dauphin Island, did a little tuna fish. We started out doing some trolling for some wahoo, and we got one. Jack caught one. That was his first wahoo, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, he was
Jack
stoked.
had a heck of a day.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Ryan caught the biggest fish, but Jack definitely had the best day out of everybody as far as like multiple things happening.
So how did that work with the trolling? I mean, just whoever got to it first kind of thing?
Well, we kind of agreed that me and Ryan, I think, were the only two that had caught wahoo. So we were just going to let those who hadn't go first, and then they just picked whatever order.
Gotcha.
And we hooked up twice.
We got a lot of bites.
Yeah, we got multiple hits and just didn't get hooked. And then Jack caught the one, and then Tony got hooked up. And I had noticed that reel already, the braid looked a little...
There was some
sus
stuff. There was some
really?
sus stuff.
Whose reel was
Honestly,
it?
all the gear was.
Yeah.
The captains?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And so,
Well, it
like,
was both the captains. There was a mate and a captain. They both brought their gear. And
Yeah.
some of the stuff just like looked like it could have been in better shape, but it's charter stuff. So it's like I've
Sure.
been around these boats, and
Sure.
it's like you
Yeah.
got people that have never fished before fishing these
Right.
things. So
Right.
last trip, literally, someone could have been fighting a fish, and it was in the engine. So you just
Sure.
that's why I always like bringing my own gear,
Yeah.
because I know I'm in control of like, okay, I just spooled this reel up, the braid's brand new.
Yeah, you
But
don't want to lose what you guys were fishing for.
right, absolutely.
I will say wahoo fishing though, it's like I've caught a couple high speeding, or just like trolling in general. It's kind of work once
Yeah.
you get. It's cool because like the rod goes down is rip and drag, but like you just sit, rod's in the rod holder, and you're just cranking on
Yeah.
it.
For the wahoo?
Oh yeah,
Really?
Yeah, it's like a 50 wide, so you're straddling the gun of the boat, and you're just cranking on it, and
I mean, do they fight
and the
hard?
boat still, well,
yeah, the boat has to stay in gear because they got this heavy plug in their mouth, and they shake their head and they're fast. So you have to keep the boat in gear, and you're fighting the fish, and you just have to keep constant tension. So I mean, it's a cool fight, and it's like a cool process. And then the coolest part is when you go to gaff them. Like it's like, all right, pull the rod out of the rod holder, sprint to the front of the boat, make sure we're keeping the fish close to the boat, and then we gaff it and put it in. But
Okay.
I've winded on a couple wahoo in my life on high speed. I was like, yeah, just go for it, man. I'm gonna.
So it's
I'm
not
gonna
like
film.
it's not like you're really truly fight. You're just trying to keep. You're just trying to keep line.
Yeah, it's more like you're winding a winch.
tension.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
how trolling is. It's more of the boat caught the fish than it is
Sure.
like one individual angler. Because
Right.
arguably the turn into the handle might actually be the easiest part. Like the
Right.
hard
Yeah.
part is getting
Controlling
the boat
yeah.
where you need to be, putting out the rod and reel, making sure your rig is perfect, making sure the lure's swimming right at the right depths, making sure you're changing the colors, like all of those factors. Like arguably it's just the easy part is just the turning of the handle.
Cranking her in.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds cool, and supposedly wahoo's absolutely delicious. Did you keep any of that? Or?
Yeah, I got some.
Oh, really?
I'll give you some.
Please, yes.
Yeah.
I definitely want some tuna.
Yeah.
So,
Gifting you
so
all
how
of
much
the fish.
tuna? I mean, well, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. 'Cause
No,
I don't
you're
even- you just keep talking.
A bunch.
Sorry. Yeah.
A bunch.
Stoked. I need that protein. Protein.
So I was talking to Buddy when I got service back in yesterday. Buddy was texting me saying he needed to reschedule and something, and he asked how the trip was. So I sent him the pictures. I was like, "We need to have a sushi night." He goes, "I want to host it. Let's do it." So we're actually going to talk about that
Oh,
at the
sweet.
meeting today. We're going to do a sushi night at Buddy's house.
You want to hang around? You should just hang out up here, man.
Man, I'll just move up here.
Yeah, come on.
Knowing them, they might have like a chef come in.
They
and
probably
make us-
will. They
make our
probably
rolls.
will.
I'll just provide the tuna.
It'll be legit.
So that'll be cool. But yeah, I think Ryan had the most epic catch of the
So,
night.
all right,
Yeah.
all right, just tell us about it right here.
We'll get
podcast.
back.
This won't be. This probably will not be posted before. When are you gonna post your video?
Probably next week.
Oh, okay.
Tuesday,
Like, 'cause we
Wednesday.
got another
Dude,
pod-
I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a whole 1,000 people
we
are
get
gonna see
1,000
this.
views
Yeah,
on
1,000
this
people are
thing.
gonna watch this. Ryan, it's gonna ruin it.
They're definitely not going to click on my video.
Yeah, I
right?
know. All right, tell us about it, man. Tell us.
So we finished trolling. We would like hit these what's it called? We would hit these oil rigs. We'd troll around them, see if we could get a wahoo. And then Captain Kurt was like, 1 p.m. is like when the tunas are going to start happening. And we saw some blow ups, and then on one of the oil rigs, and I caught like a little 30-pounder. Which was cool. Yeah, like it was like my biggest yellowfin up to that point was 30 pounds, and it was on top water, so it was
Yeah.
cool. Like
That's
anything
so
on top
sick.
water,
That's
I'm
so
having
sick.
a good
So,
time.
all right, so what?
At the time, we thought this was awesome.
Yeah.
And then now,
I've
like,
been
I
freaking out.
forgot that even happened.
I've been freaking out. I've been like, and I mean, a tuna period on a popper. Like, I mean, that especially a yellowfin. I don't care what the size is.
Of course.
I'd have been like running laps around that boat, freaking out.
We were stoked, and then there was like much more blow ups. I think you might have got blown up on a couple times, and it was just like the fish weren't connecting. And then we started fishing at 6 a.m. or we left at 6 a.m. started fishing at like 8 a.m. and this is like 4:45 p.m.
And how many miles offshore are y'all?
Anywhere from 60 to 100, I would say.
I thought you were going further than that.
The last rig we fished was 120.
Okay.
Okay. I was thinking 150, but
Yeah.
I got you. Okay, sorry, continue.
So
That's
we
just for
finally get to that last rig, and it's like 4:45 p.m. So the sun's going down, and we're like pulling up to this rig, and you see the birds working, and you see the blow-ups, and we're all getting excited.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
all getting
Because
ready.
honestly, like, until we got to that point, I kind of felt a little defeated. Like, it was a slow day. We had the one wahoo, we lost the one. We had that tuna. I don't know if we had anything else
Like
in
a
the box
skipjack
or not.
and
Not much.
some-
Like
we caught some
it honestly had
kudas.
been, some
barracudas?
Yeah.
Okay.
On top water.
That's cool. Neat.
But it was really kind of a slow day and not what we were expecting. And then when we saw that, it was like, okay, we're here. It's about to happen.
We pull up, and Brad and I, elbowed our way to the front of the boat, and we're both casting
You
off the
pure
front.
fisherman, you.
You have to, dude. Dude, 6 dudes with 6 poppers. I was like, I am getting my chance at
Yeah.
catching one of these things.
I
you know
get
what I mean?
that. I get that.
And Brad hooked up to, we see the explosion. It was like, oh, that is a real one.
Yeah.
That is a real one. And that thing was ripping. I mean, you probably fought it for I would say 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And you're literally in the front of the boat. I'm standing up on the gunnel still casting. Everyone else is just kind of watching your mouth open. They're just like dumbfounded at this process. But I'm like,
Nobody else is fishing right now with
No.
all this going on.
no, dude.
Okay.
I mean, so there was stuff blowing up, but then when Brad hooked up, it kind of calmed down.
Oh, okay.
In
I
my
gotcha.
mind, I'm like, these fish are still around, so I'm
Sure,
gonna keep casting.
sure.
I'm seeing Brad's fish on top. It's it's close to getting gaffed, and I'm like telling someone, I was like, hey, can you move that tackle box by Brad's feet so it doesn't trip? And as I'm saying his feet or something like that, I just see out of the corner of my eye an explosion. I was like, oh, I'm on too. And I think this is I don't know, a 40, 50 pound fish. The explosion's not that big, right?
Yeah.
I was
Really?
Like,
It
I was
wasn't
like, this is a bigger fish than I've caught today. But it was just
So
I just
did
couldn't tell.
So did it hit and just start ripping immediately?
No. So
Okay.
it was it hit, and then it was head shake. I'm feeling the hooks rip a little bit. And I'm like, oh God, please don't come off. Please don't come off. And then a little bit of a run. Right about that point.
Let me ask you a question before you go any
Yeah.
further. So because this is from lack of experience
Yeah.
in my shoes here, do you jack up a tuna or do you not?
I set them a couple times. I think the mistake you're gonna make is just like fishing any topwater is you're trying to set the hook before they're
Too
actually
soon,
tight.
too
Yeah,
soon.
you see the blow up, you get excited, and you
Yeah,
set the hook. And I
yeah.
did that once or twice yesterday. And
Okay.
I get on people for doing that, and I still do it. You know what I
It
mean?
was hard, man,
That
because you're
excitement.
so
So much
excited,
adrenaline.
especially with all that's going on, and you know what it is,
Yeah.
or you know what it should be.
So that fish he ate, and you know how fishing for bonita is, they just sprint at you sometimes. So you
Yeah.
got to be ready. But it was once he started making a little bit of a run, I hit him once or twice.
Okay.
I really think they probably just hooked themselves. When
Sure.
you got good trebs, and it's how they eat it, whether or not you hook them. But
Yeah.
anyways,
I just didn't know if it was the old pier fisherman tarping, you're like,
a little bit of that. Those guys are so extra. Oh my god.
I love it on the pier, man.
Yeah.
They put it to those dang fish. So anyway, sorry, continue. Just had to ask.
Right about I don't know, 30 seconds into me being hooked up to my fish, Brad's fish just comes off at the gaff, which really sucked. It was heartbreaking. Brad was a
I
broken
watched that
man.
video again this morning.
Did
and,
you?
it still hurt.
Playing some sad music.
Dude, I felt so bad because I just know it's as a fisherman you feel bad, but it's as a content creator, it's it's your job.
Double whammy.
That was my video.
Yeah, I
Gone.
know. Yeah, you're spending all this time. Obviously it's a fun thing, but that's a lot of time and
Yeah.
energy and effort to have that level of disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, you weren't spending any money.
Right.
Imagine that. It's
Yeah.
even worse because
Yeah.
sometimes we're in those situations
Yeah.
where we spend all this money, all this time, energy, effort, and then boom.
And you have one shot a lot of the time. You have one
Yep.
fish to make
sure.
it happen,
Yep.
and there's that added pressure.
Yes.
It's a lot of it's self-induced, right?
Well, sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry. Continue.
But I didn't realize the pain cave that I was about to be in. I was all worried about Brad losing his fish. And it was it sucks, man. Blah blah blah. I'm fighting mine, talking to the GoPro, asking someone to grab my camera, and then this fish just rips, and it's probably I would say takes like 250 yards of line. But it's like he didn't take 250 yards of line out. He took 250 yards of line straight down to the bottom. And that's why these things just destroy you, because unless there's like, we had fish stay on top yesterday, but this fish just stayed down. And the mate and the captain are, you know, just like, oh, yeah, that's how it is. And I'm like asking them, like, what's the best place on the boat for me? They're like, right here. I'm like, this hurts. This is not comfortable at all.
Do you have any better options? Because this sucks right now.
This is not comfortable at all. And, you know, I'm trying to find every bit of like angle, every bit of whatever I can to like, be able to put pressure on this fish. I'm tucking the rod in between my legs, you know, putting the boys to one side.
Yeah, that's what you do.
You know, then putting the rod back on my hip. We put the little foamy on the end. I hated that thing. I chucked that.
Yeah. Just no way around it. You're uncomfortable.
Yeah, we were in this, you know, kind of almost stalemate for a little bit until it was like I have to gain line. So it was like at times I was like gaining inches. Like it was like I was literally taking a quarter crank. Palming the spool a little bit, taking a quarter crank. Yeah. And we, I'd say, intense. I don't know, what do you think, 45 minutes to an hour?
At least, yeah.
Yeah, so the sun's going down. I think the sun was like officially down by the time we saw color, but there's a lot of ambient light still. It's like, you know, all glowed up. And then we see like the color. And the mate's like, that's over 100. And I'm like, don't tell me that. I don't want to know. Because this fish isn't in the boat yet. If I lose it, man, like I'm just going to be heartbroken. He's like, oh, no, it's a big one.
Oh, man.
And I'm just like, I'm like beat at this point. I'm like talking to whoever's holding my camera. I think Tony from Fishcom's holding my camera. And I could just hear it in my own voice. It was like, just beat. Like, I do not have my normal enthusiasm. And then someone mentioned, they're like, wow, the boat's silent. And I like looked around. I was like, wow.
So tense. I bet the tension.
It was, the tension. What is it? The tension is palpable.
Palpable. Yes, exactly.
It was crazy. It was cool, though.
Was there ever a moment in that fight that you thought, like, I'm going to have to hand this rod off?
There was one point where I had been gaining for, I don't know, like gaining inches for probably like 15 minutes. And then the fish just ripped straight down again.
That is so defeating.
I'm like holding on to it. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to have to like give this rod up. But I'm like, I don't know if I can hold this much drag. Like I might have to loosen the drag because I'm probably fishing 20. I would say 25 pounds of drag on that. Like I put a lot of tension on them. But man, we finally like get it up, and like I was happy that people started fishing because like everyone's just like watching me for a while. And I was like,
no pressure.
Yeah, and then it's like someone caught they caught a couple smaller yellowfins and skipjack tunas and stuff like that, and then finally we get this fish up. And it's just doing circles, and it's like doing circles, and you can see it, and it's just, you know, so close but so far away. And you know, the mates and the captain, or I guess both the captains, they are experienced in this, so they know it's like you're not taking a bad shot on like a fish of a lifetime. It's like you're taking your time. You're gonna take your shot, because if you swing and miss on that thing and gaff it, it might rip another 100 yards straight down. So we finally get it. Where it circles and it circles and it circles, and I'm gaining an inch at a time. One of the captains gets a gaff in it, then another captain gets a gaff in it, and then they rip this fish over the deck of the boat, and it's like 150-pound fish.
Shoot!
Big
eye?
Big eye tuna.
So yeah, it was a big eye. So we thought we were going to be only catching yellowfins, but then when you saw how short the sickles were, so typically yellowfins have those giant long sickle fins. They're like, nah, it's a big eye. And I was like, I don't care what kind of tuna it is, man.
It's 150 pounds.
It's in the boat. And, you know, my body was just like, just feeling just wrecked. I'm like, you know, everything's starting to cramp. You get like the forearm cramps. And then 15 minutes later, like my toes started cramping up. I was like, everything.
How is this even possible?
Yeah.
That's probably partially because you didn't drink any water.
You know, man, I had.
Before this, he's like, you know, I don't know if I've had any water today. I was like,
you
I'm
will
just
cramp
living
up
off of Celsius. I'm like, you might want to drink some water.
Yeah, I need some fluids, man. That's crazy. So, I mean, you've done some insanely epic things. You've caught giant fish. Where does this rank as far as like fight, like physical exertion?
I think it was probably the toughest fight of my life, I would say.
Really?
You know, it's fighting it on. I'm using a 10,000 size Saltiga, and it's, you know,
that's what we didn't mention. This is all on a spinning reel.
Yeah,
this is not on conventional.
Time out. Like,
this is on a spinning reel.
Put that in your brain, like 150-pound tuna on spinning tackle.
Yeah,
by yourself.
At one point,
he's
got his foot on the gunnel, his hand on the spool, just like leaning back, giving it everything, just trying to get something from this fish.
See, like I haven't, you know, I can have a little bit of an understanding because I've caught decent sized fish on light tackle and stuff like that, like jacks on like trout rods, 30-pound jacks on trout rods. So I get the struggle in that like moment, like you've gained something and then they take off again and you're like that you literally feel like I'm not going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
That moment of I'm not going to accomplish this goal. And it's weird fighting a fish. And I can't even imagine, like, that's a jack. Like, if it gets away, whatever, but like a tuna of that magnitude.
It's a lifetime fish.
Like, and you're in that battle. Like, I can't imagine how that's impressive too. Like, there, people love to fish but don't fish to the level that we do as often as we do and deal with these types of things. Like, it'd be hard for them, I think, to really truly understand what you had to experience.
I mean, I didn't know. I've talked to many guys.
And, I mean, you're a pretty jacked guy. Like, I mean, you're going to be more fit than the average dude.
I was thinking, that I was like, if I was out of shape, this might, I might be handing the rod off. You know what I mean? But I would say the only time I felt that level of discomfort for an extended period of time was running a marathon. I remember, so my marathon, I've only run one. Time was terrible.
But you did it.
Yeah, I did it. I got injured in my prep, so the goal was to run a marathon at 8-minute pace, which would get me under 4-hour mark.
That's insane, dude.
I tore like the plantar fascia in both my feet, like during prep, because I just tried to do too much too fast. I tried to prep too fast, so I just didn't run for 4 weeks up to the marathon. Just didn't train at all. Just ice, elliptical, bike, just to like get something in my legs. And took off with a couple of my buddies. I ran it with a bunch of my Marine Corps buddies. We were all still on active duty there in South Carolina. And I took off with the fast guys. So I was like, come on. I always smoke these.
I could do this.
I always smoke these guys in PT, when we're running 3 miles, or like I've smoked every single one of the guys I ran with in a half marathon before. So I was like, I know I can keep up with these guys, but I was untrained.
Right.
So mile 13, I'm still cruising at 8-minute pace, feel great. The endorphins are running. Everyone's cheering, It's like I'm chugging water, doing the little salt packs, or what is it, like the little goos? There's like a little electrolyte packets that you use. Yeah. Just like keep yourself good. And I was like, I'm feeling great. And then mile 14, I started to get a little foot cramp. That sucks. Never really had this before when I'm running. I've been running for, 8-10 years. Mile 14 and a half, like my whole calf and leg started cramping. And then it was like mile 15, I literally couldn't run anymore. Like my legs were like seizing up, and I'm like just angry walking. Dang. And I'm like, oh my God, is this really gonna happen? And then by like mile 17, I'm just still angry walking, like just limping my way, and I'm watching like 70-year-old grandmas like start to pass me, and I'm like, I'm in the Marine Corps. I'm a Marine officer, and these 70-year-old ladies are passing me.
Oh, that's got to be humbling,
dude. And it was like just run. I essentially walked the entire second half of the marathon. It was like such a humbling experience. So, anyways, that was like kind of a tangent.
No, but good comparison.
That level of discomfort, but just for a shorter amount of time.
Sure. Gosh.
But then the night actually started. That's the crazy part. It's like we put that tuna on the boat, and then the sun had gone down, and we're next to this oil rig that's lit up like a Christmas tree. Like there's so much light. If you've ever fished like a bridge at night, you see the shadow lines. The entire the water just starts erupting with like these skipjack tunas, which aren't huge, they're this big. But every once in a while, you would see a big blow up, and then it's like, oh, the big ones are still around.
That's what we want.
And we thought we were done, actually, I think at like 6 o'clock for like a second. We're like, oh, how much longer are we going to be out here? And the captain's like, oh, until y'all want to go in. And I was like, oh, thank God, it's done.
So y'all, you hooked the first fish, like the first
true one,
I had the first big one, fish. And pulled the hook, and then he landed the first big one. And then we ended up total of 6 big tuna.
Who did everybody get to catch one? Kind of, or
no.
So who didn't?
So I had one. Ryan had 2.
Oh, you caught 2.
Jack had 2.
Okay.
And Tony had 1.
So who didn't get to catch?
Phil and John.
Oh, okay.
To be fair, though, Brad and I were probably fishing the hardest, I would say. We're both the ones that wanted it the most, I would say. And Jack, too. It was like the guys that put the time in early and late were catching them. And, it was like...
That's what it is.
Me, Brad, and Jack all brought rods and poppers ready to go, all rigged up. Like, I don't think Phil and John were, necessarily prepared for this trip. They were just, there for the adventure. So... Yeah.
John was there for the shark bait. John didn't care. He was like, I just want the shark bait.
Well, it sounds like he'll got plenty.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
a ton.
That's
so
awesome.
He's going to take the tuna head. he said he's not sure if this is legal. It probably is. Who knows? He's gonna take the tuna head and drop it like one big bait for sharks. John is
like
The big eye head.
yeah.
that's got to be gigantic.
Dude, it's like that size of this table, bro. Like,
What's gonna eat that?
I don't know.
Great white.
I think it has to be the right one. You know, I was telling him, I was like, oh, you're just going to have like black tips just like feeding on it, you know, but I don't know, man. I mean, that would be cool. If you
gate 8, you know it's the right one.
That is so epic. Well, so you got one too.
I did.
So
yeah.
how did that play out? How did you end up getting yours? Because you lost one, so automatically, like out of the gate, that feeling of defeat and
it had already been a long day, and then losing that one right at the boat. Like he was there with the gaff, and then it was kind of a cluster because that's when we had just got to that spot. We were seeing blow up, so like everybody was kind of trying to do stuff, and so he comes around the front of the boat. And he's getting ready to gaff it, and then the tuna turns around the other way, and when he turns, the hook pulls, and I was just like I was in the boat, but up on the bow, and I just like laid back on the bow and just like, oh, FML.
yeah.
But
well, and then after I caught my fish, I think the most action per cast that we had was still with that ambient light. Like it was still a little bit like of an orange glow, and like everything's blowing up. And it was like everyone that casted except for Brad was getting blown up on. I was like, I don't know
After
what,
that.
what he's doing. Like this dude's just, I
I
don't
just
know,
like felt
snake
the
bit.
curse because like I'd been fishing like 3 or 4 days leading up to this trip, trying to get a video and just couldn't catch
which
anything. And I'm
fishing's
just
tough
like,
around here.
I'm like, all right, I'm screwed. I just can't catch fish anymore.
Yeah.
And then just kept casting, and finally got blown up on again. And before I caught the big one, I did catch a smaller yellowfin, like a little, I don't know, 20-pounder or something.
Which we would have been stoked on earlier in the day.
Right.
And you're like, screw this thing.
I mean, the one that I caught then, his fish could have ate it. I'm like, I'm tossing it back.
Yeah, that's crazy. Man.
But yeah, then finally got blown up on again and hooked it. And this fish ended up staying up at the top.
So how much time passed between the one you hooked and lost and then this one? Do you know?
I'd say 2 hours probably.
It was a little while. Yeah.
It's a long 2 hours.
Jack and Tony caught their full-size yellowfins on poppers.
So you're feeling
before,
it.
yeah.
You're feeling. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
You're feeling it.
Yeah, and Tony
I'm like-
casted twice. Like it was like Tony was like just picked up one of the charter rods.
This is easy, Brad.
I'm like
What are
ready
you
to
doing?
tell the captain, let's go home. But this one, I'm like, all right, I'm not getting a
Tuck-tailing,
video. Like, this sucks. Like, why didn't I bring beer?
That was I mean, I probably would have died if I would have been drinking beer, not water.
This is the true like. People are getting the true emotions right now of what we go through in these experiences. So this is good stuff.
If I would have brought beer, I would have started drinking too much before, and I probably wouldn't have caught that fish.
You don't think
You
so?
wouldn't have been as motivated.
No,
probably.
I would have gave up, and I would have just started drinking and watching y'all fish.
Yeah.
So good thing I didn't bring beer.
Well, that's again, it's like it shows you even when you're on like a chartered trip, right? Like the onus is on you.
Yeah.
You have to fish hard if you want the result. Like you can't
Well,
just
for
sit
something
back.
like that, especially.
Yeah, I mean, the captain. They were trying to, put out a live bait rod, and they were still working in the background. But the fish were eating poppers, so it was like you had to cast far. The bites were at the end of your cast. They typically were eating it close to the boat.
Gotcha.
So it was like you had to be
most
doing
of our
it.
hookups were like either when the popper hit or after the first pop.
Yeah. Really?
Like most of them were all the way at the end. But yeah, mine it stayed up at the top. So my fight was nowhere near like his. It was actually fairly easy. I mean, when he first hit, he did take that one big run.
Yeah, I was
at the
like-
beginning, and Ryan was like, "Up, you're screwed." He's like,
Dude, it
was he
sounded
was-
like it. It sounded like you're gonna have 0 line in 3 seconds. Like it was just all.
Saragossa was screaming.
That's the old Pier Fisherman peanut gallery. You're screwed. Good luck with that. You're about to get hosed.
I was losing my mind. And what was crazy too is again, like I was watching his popper. We were casting in the same area, and it was like no blow up. Like his popper just kind of disappeared. And part of that's because it's at night and we didn't really see. But like this thing just sucked it in, and then just suddenly he had 400 yards of line, and then he had 100 yards of line. Like, it was gone.
Quick, fast, and in a hurry.
It's like a magic trick.
Yeah. Thankfully for me, though, after that run, the fish stayed at the top, so I was able to bring them back, gain up some line. Never had to fight them straight up and down.
So how long was that fight?
not long. I don't know, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I would say all the yellowfins that we caught outside of Tony had probably
Tony's
the
was-
hardest
yeah.
yellowfin fight.
Did his go down?
Yeah, it went down a little bit, but he still caught it in 20, 30 minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, the yellowfin that I caught, I was like probably an 80-pound class fish, and I don't know, I probably caught it in 10 minutes.
Really?
Like it was like I thought it
crazy.
was like a 40-pounder. I was like, it's
Well, after you catch the big one, you're like,
Oh,
oh,
this is nothing. Yeah.
the
It's
thing.
only 100 pounds, 80 pounds.
I ate some food after the big one and took a little bit of a break, but I was like, oh yeah, I'll let the other guys cast, but I can't not fish when
Yeah.
I'm seeing this epic thing going
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
So my body is still like cramping up and everything like that. I'm like, I just gotta
got some
cast.
adrenaline,
I gotta
you know,
cast
it
anyways. So I hooked that yellowfin, get that one in the boat, and then my body literally rejects me. So like literally, I'm like T-Rex arms, like just, everything is tense, and I'm like, and the mate's like, oh, you got to do this, and I'm like, it's not working.
We definitely need some electric lights
Yeah.
on that trip.
Yeah, we need some Liquid IV sponsoring the channel. You know what I mean?
I love that stuff, man. It's
No,
legit.
it's great. It's great. No, and then there's this other stuff called Element that Victor and Brooke get sent. They do like brand deals with them.
okay.
It's you pour it in your water and you're like, oh, there is electrolytes in here because
Okay.
it is salty.
Feels
but
good.
it's you feel like you're actually really getting hydrated.
Yeah. I've started using this one called Relight. I don't know if y'all have heard of that one. Because the Liquid IV has a lot of sugar in it.
Does it?
Relight doesn't have any sugar, and it's the same
Good-
as
good
probably the
thinking.
Element. Like when you mix it up, it's definitely salty.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, this is good stuff.
But that's hugely important because I remember I would get like cramps and stuff we do like 12 to 15 mile hikes in the Marine Corps and you have like 80-pound packs on your back. And if you're just drinking water, you will not hydrate properly at all. Like you have to have some type of salt, sugar. Like
Makes
you
sense.
actually have to have that electrolyte balance. It's hugely important.
Yeah.
So
That's
how-
something I've learned a lot lately is a lot of people associate too much salt with a lot of your issues, but it's not. It's too much sugar in your body not burning the
Sugar
salt.
is like bad all
So the
around.
sugar causes you to store salt. So the excess salt is bad, but you gotta have salt intake.
See, look at us getting healthy over here.
Trying.
Yeah, we're all working at it.
When Brad's drinking beers on the boat,
Yeah.
if there wasn't tunas, he'd just
Yeah.
be crushing brews.
That's right. but then he'll work it off on the Peloton.
Excellent.
So how much did yours weigh? What was the? Do you know?
We didn't weigh any of the fish, but they guessed probably about 100.
Really? So yours was pretty beefy then. I mean, I saw your picture. It looked massive.
He's a big guy too.
Yeah, you are a big guy. So like,
I know it's hard for me to make fish look.
I know
big,
if I was standing next
but
to that,
it
thing,
was funny.
that's
though,
a 500-pound fish.
Because fishing with Tony and Phil and John, especially Phil and John, Tony's probably taller than me.
I'd say he's close.
Tony is.
But
tall.
then
he's
Phil
like
and
sneaky
John, I'm
tall.
like,
You don't
I'm
think
one of the
so.
smallest guys on the boat.
yeah,
I'm like, I'm not
between-
used to being the little
That's weird.
guy.
That's weird.
Big John is all of 6'9".
Yeah.
Like, really.
I've
And
haven't met him
then,
in
and then
person.
Phil's, I don't know, 6'6". So it's like
Yeah.
you feel like we have a full, like a center and a power forward.
Yeah. But
Bunch of big
epic
dudes.
trip.
Yeah,
You
that's
should have
awesome.
been there.
Yeah, it sounds like it would have been a good time.
You would have caught fish bigger than you.
This is true.
For a guy that
Well,
loves
close.
a Jack Crevalle on a topwater and
Oh,
freaks out about that, this is
I would have
big
loved
deal.
the experience. It would have been cool. But it's just one of those things. It's I would love to experience it personally. It's just a little off brand for me.
I think you will one day.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. But I'm excited. Hopefully, we get some of these other trips to go. I'm excited to go to some of the other things we're trying to work out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see. Are y'all excited about tacos and margaritas after this? Is that
I was hoping you were going to say that.
all right? There's a place right below us that
Do you like
You're
margaritas?
speaking my language.
Yeah, dig some margs.
absolutely.
What we need to do is just do another podcast after, because if we do a podcast after 2 margaritas, it gets way better.
way better.
Spicy podcast is much better.
We dive deep into the tub time.
So if you don't follow the podcast, we talk regularly about mine and my wife's tub time.
You know, I watched one episode. I think you guys had like Ron on or something like that. I
Okay.
like played it in the background. And I was like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
You guys have good chemistry on.
Yeah,
on
it's
together.
fun just to shoot the bull for an hour. Whether or not it's entertaining, I don't know, but
No,
but we do it.
Some people like it, some don't.
No, I think podcasts are so important. We were literally talking about it this morning because it allows you to connect on like a completely different level. And in the few podcasts that I listen to, I have this intrinsic trust in that person that no other content delivers. So it's like, even if you're only getting 100, 500, 1,000 views on a podcast, I think that is so much more powerful than tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of views on like a TikTok video or an Instagram video or
Well,
something like that.
It's your true self. More so, like obviously you get to see a lot of my personality or whatever in my videos, but even that, like I'm a
Amplified.
little different, you
Yeah.
know, and because you kind of have to be, and it's edited differently, you know, like it's like boom, 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 boom. Whereas this, like we're just rolling, so you get it's way more like you're literally just sitting here hanging out with us, acting the way that we normally would be. So I get that. I can see where people that's going to build a little bit more trust.
Yeah, and I think that's why because it just seems much more real. You know, we're not like a Fox News or a CNN reporter. And this is what's going on in the world today. You know what I mean? It's just like it's like dudes. Yeah, just dudes hanging out, just like talking how you would normally talk. And it's the people that I listen to. It's like I feel like I literally know them. And I feel like I am there with them a lot of time. And I think that's the people that have the gift for podcasting. And I'm sure whatever episode this is,
I think it's 21, 22,
I'm
23,
sure
something like that.
203 is going to be exponentially better. Like you guys are going to get so much better at this thing.
That's the thing about any of this is you have to, and we talked about this, we've talked about it a few times, but like you have to be prepared to suck.
Yeah.
And just do it. Like we even admit, like one of our podcasts, that was one of our topics. We're like, we know we suck at this.
Yeah.
Like we
have
literally,
no idea what we're doing.
we don't know what we're doing. Like
I mean, the first episode we filmed, it took us like, we wanted to do an hour episode. It took us like 3 hours because we couldn't figure out how to work the equipment.
yes.
All kinds of stuff. But.
Yeah, no, it's so you have to dive in, and you're only gonna get good if you just do it. Like I mean,
it's
that's
the repetitions.
and just be and people are so afraid of like not being good at something. You know, like they're Ryan's laughing over here. Like, and that's what keeps people from doing crap is just because you're afraid, because people are so self-conscious of what everybody else thinks. Like you get out there and you just won't even do it because you're afraid that you're going to suck, and you are, but like you just
embrace
have to
the suck.
Embrace the suck. What's that from? I know that's like a saying. Did somebody like actually coin that?
I think, oh crap. What's one of the YouTubers that we watch, they like teach you how to do YouTube. Think Media. Is
Sean
it them?
Cannell?
Sean Cannell.
Maybe.
Is
I
he the
feel
one
like
that-
that's just a saying, to be honest.
I know it's been around, but I
feel like he says that
didn't-
a lot.
Well, I think he does. I think he does, but I didn't know if there was somebody that like actually can say they originated it. But
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. But yeah, like,
is it a military thing? Like, did
they
it?
definitely say that. I mean, the Marine Corps, we used to have a shirt with this stupid like little. It was like pain is weakness leaving the body, and it's like no, pain is the fact that my foot is torn in half. Sorry.
You know, but that actually made like, so I've never really understood that statement until recently in life, and I'll
Because
explain.
you're doing CrossFit now.
Well, yes.
Ah.
But the reason, so one of the main reasons that I started is because, so I went to the doctor because I was having a shoulder issue. Like my shoulder was hurt and all this. This was before I was working out. And the doctor, in not so many words, basically said, you're getting old and weak.
Wow.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
they weren't being
That's
mean.
how he understood it.
Excellent. That's how I would have taken it too.
But it's the truth. So like the way they explained it, you know, they gave me all
Playing
the,
footsies over here.
I was thinking about it.
ooh, count me in.
You're not invited. Sorry, man.
The way they explained it is like as you get older, you know, different muscles get weaker. So other muscles begin to compensate for that. And so you lose, you know, so it starts to hurt. You start to have all these pains or whatever. So they were basically telling me what you can do is strengthen those muscles.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're getting old and weak. Like, I mean, in not so many words, but, and also like, as I've begun working out, like there's certain things that not just soreness, but there's certain body parts that will hurt more. And it's because they're weaker. You know, that I'm trying to like maybe one side of my body or whatever. So the best way to obviously eliminate that pain is to make that body part stronger.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
so that it's not gonna. So anyway, I get that statement of like pain is weakness leaving the body, and it's the truth. Like you have to go through that pain to get stronger and just figure out. And it is your body communicating to you also what needs work. Like,
Absolutely.
okay, this hurts. Don't stop.
Yeah.
you got to work through it.
I guess I say it's stupid because I know the
Sorry,
hardos.
I know it is a stupid. It is a stupid saying, but I get it a little bit.
I know the hardos in the Marine Corps that are dudes that I trained with over the years that were literally injured and are just doing the same thing that hurt them in the first place.
Their legs like broken half.
Yeah, it's like it's like it's like I ruined my knee squatting just the way I'm squatting now, and they're still doing the exact same thing. It's like maybe let's like hop on the leg press real quick and limit that range of motion because it's like it's not helping you right now.
Right, yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? Or they did something stupid, so that's why. But like for a lot of people, the vast majority of people, especially ones that don't work out or push their body to like the limit, there's going to be pain and discomfort. It's like discomfort is where all the money is made for sure.
Absolutely.
But that's not even true in like physical pursuits. That's true in literally everything.
So much so.
And what my biggest struggle is anytime I hit any mental discomfort or mental, it's like, oh, this is hard. I have to think through this. You know what I do? Let's see what's on TikTok today. It's like your brain hits that thing and it's like, oh, let me just like go back to this nervous habit. And so many times during the day when I'm trying to be efficient or do stuff, I'll just like turn the phone off and like chuck it across the room.
That's a good point.
Like, dude, it's this nervous habit that I'm afraid of being bored. I'm afraid of like having to think through my problems. So I just like check out. It's like my constant struggle, dude.
Yes. No, it's crazy how much, and I've talked about this with other people. Obviously there's a lot of advantages to working out and training and all that, but like there's so many correlations to life that you can learn, and just being mentally strong and being uncomfortable and understanding like that's where you're going to be successful.
Well, that's why physical pursuits are hugely important too, because I mean, this is the best time in human history to be alive. Like there's atrocities happening like all over the world, right? Yeah. But like especially in like a developed nation like we are, it's like it's easy. Realistically, like you don't really have physical discomfort unless you force yourself into it. So it's like you have all these creature comforts naturally. We're in an AC building right now, you know what I mean?
It's a little warm in here.
We woke up to our refrigerated food that was ready to go. Yeah. It's all there for us. So it's like humans, I think, are meant to struggle. Like we have to. We're not different biologically than someone 1,000 years ago all that much. We're very, very similar, right? And those people were struggling.
Yes.
They were put through the ringer, and it's like they didn't have all those mental health issues then because we're much more worried about what we're going to eat, what we're going to, how am I going to feed the family?
How we're going to survive.
Exactly. And nowadays it's like, well, we know we're going to survive, but I'm really concerned that I didn't get enough likes on my Instagram photo today, so this is just killing me. Or, Stacy from accounting is just being such a today, like, I hate it. My life is so hard. And it's like, I think if you're pushing yourself to your limits physically, I always notice this, especially when I'm running a lot, and I'll do as I say, not as I do, because I haven't been running that much lately.
But you did just fight 150-pound tuna. So,
I did, but I guess the point is like physical pursuits, pushing myself to the limit. It's like suddenly all of those other like life stressors that I thought were stressors are just not that big of a deal.
Absolutely,
it's just like, oh, I ran 10 miles before I like did anything today. And it's like, oh, that person didn't reply to my email. That person didn't follow up. Oh, I had to do this. I had to do that. It's just not as bad. It's just not stressful.
So I'm gonna give you guys a personal example. Okay, so yesterday, literally, me and Courtney we're not really arguing, but there's something that we're having a disagreement on. Okay, and we're about to go work out. We work out together, and we're sitting in the car in the parking lot. We're going back and forth, and we've over 14 years of marriage. Like this would rate way low on the intensity of our, very cordial argument, but just like we're discussing something that we're just not on the same page on, and so
Disney?
No.
Thought y'all were playing on Disney.
Tub time.
No, we pretty much agree mostly on Disney topics and tub time. But so we're having this disagreement, and so we're not happy with each other basically. But we go into workout, and after we're done, we're both like, cool. Like I mean, and we go to dinner, and we're both like, yeah, I'm sorry for this and this, whatever. And like, but like it's just totally.
That stuff,
it's fine. Like we went through this, difficult experience physically with our bodies, and then it's like, okay, we're just done with that. Like that's not even. I mean,
don't even matter.
We may. It wasn't like we just ignored it and brushed. Like we addressed it, but it was way more like, okay, I'm an idiot. Like it within an hour of just like, like I think that's the best way to. I've never experienced that before until then. Like where we had an argument and did that, and then like afterwards, like how like. Cool and level-headed we were.
You realize how connected your physical body is to your mind.
Yes.
And, it's this meat vehicle that we run around in. It's like taking care of that and exhausting that is hugely important. Just like, I mean, I don't know what the statistic is, but it has to be. It's the bulk of the population does not exercise regularly.
No,
right? They
it
don't
can't be.
exhaust
It can't
themselves
be. Yeah.
regularly.
Yeah.
So it's like, think about how much just existential angst comes from just having physical energy, but being emotionally drained and mentally drained. It's like, I feel exhausted at the end of the day when I don't work out, but I also feel exhausted when I do work out, and it's a lot better.
Right.
You know, it's
Yes.
like when I go through a full day of work or a full day of something, and I'm just like emotionally drained and mentally drained. It sucks, but you don't sleep as well. You don't, you're stressed about all this other stuff, but I physically exhaust myself. And then it's like, oh, that stuff doesn't matter as much.
It is so weird. Another example, we were in Tampa, and I can't go into all the details of like the crap show that we kind of dealt with in Tampa, how difficult it was for that process. I can tell you off air.
Excellent.
Later.
Look forward to it.
But it was just
In the tub.
yes.
Not without me.
Now we're talking.
That's mine and Matt's thing.
Oh, you guys so dumb. You like wine? You like red wine?
For you, absolutely.
That's my boy. Right there. But we dealt with all this stuff. We're out of there. We had the trucks. I'm about to drive this huge truck that I'm very uncomfortable doing, all the way from Tampa to here. But we just went through like 6 days of being down there when I didn't anticipate being down there, packing up the entire store on top of like all this stuff that's going on. So it was very difficult. But like I was tired. I was exhausted. I'd still been trying to get my workouts in and everything. But the day that we were leaving, like we went to bed at like 1 o'clock because we were at the store all day packing up. We were trying to finish. So we went to bed at 1 o'clock, but we were going to wake up at like 7 to get up to leave. And I still got up at like 5:30 and did my workout. But it was like the best workout even
Really?
that I'd had because I had so much just like
Angst.
yes, anxiety and frustrations and all that stuff, and it just allowed me to like reset. It's almost primal.
Yeah,
like I don't know, like
definitely is
it's
Liver
just,
King.
It's just like
Give me some more steroids.
yeah, but it just gets you back. It just resets, and then I was prepared to come back home. Way better than I feel like almost I probably would have brought some of
Left
that
all that
with
emotion
me.
there.
Definitely would.
And it could
It's
have.
such a human thing to do.
Yeah, but like it was just, it was almost like a cleanse. Of like I'm releasing myself, all of these emotions, everything that I was dealt with this whole week, and I'm done with that. I'm moving on.
Dude, I'm about to start doing push-ups right now.
Yeah, I know. You
Fired
ready?
up.
You ready? No, it's been huge for me, and I think it just helps connect because it's so hard, I think, to express how we feel in so many ways. Like it's hard to put words or describe, but like doing something physical is something that you can touch and feel, and it's a way that you can almost make those correlations instead of trying to describe it. Like, if I try to describe this table, it's way harder than like if I'm just like, I can actually touch it and feel it. I know what it is. I think it's the same way.
Yeah. So if you're at home, get off the couch.
Do some push-ups.
Move around a little bit. Get some exercise. Get healthy.
Do 100 push-ups. But you were in the Marines too, so what kind of things about that changed your mindset? I mean, did you pick up a lot of this stuff from that, or do you think it was more just experiencing life in general?
I think it was more experiencing life in general. I was into fitness before the Marine Corps,
Okay.
right? And going in as a Marine officer, I was in college for 4 years. As a Marine officer, you have to have a college degree. So I was always working out through college. I never really was into running, but just being like a skinnier guy, I naturally could get better at running faster than like a bigger guy. So I definitely taught myself how to run. But like throughout your career in the Marine Corps, you have, your unit, physical training, PT. But that is not going to keep you in shape as much as your own workout. So it's like the onus is still on you. Like there's dudes that are much more physically fit than other dudes. So I think a lot of that was still like self-induced, and the things that I did, I was telling you this morning. So I used to train very like powerlifting specific things. So it was like I was obsessed with what is going to get my squat, my bench, my deadlift. What are going to get those numbers to rise? So constantly like programming. I'd plan like 16 weeks of training out. And, you'd hit all those scheduled workouts, and then I would do the same thing with running. It'd be like a running program. So I'm going to run long runs, short runs, fast runs, and those are all programmed in to hopefully get my 3-mile time down. So I was very goal and like number oriented, but that's just, I think, more how my brain works, less Marine Corps specific. Marine Corps is much more like, let's just go get after it and just like destroy our bodies. There's definitely like a lot of that mentality. It's not as smart, I would say, like the Corps as a whole. There's a lot of, genius guys and a lot of like really, really fit guys, but like the Corps as a whole is much more like, let's just go ravage ourselves real quick. Like,
I mean, there's something fun about that, I guess.
Absolutely.
In a way.
Absolutely.
From a young male, testosterone driven,
I loved it. And especially, it was just like when you had a group of guys. When I was stationed at Camp Fuji in Japan, I was responsible for planning like the monthly unit PTs, which is like all 150 Marines there on the base. So I'd have to plan these giant workouts and then brief the commander on what we're going to do. And the commander was a fitness, like, he was obsessed. He was a CrossFit nut.
Okay.
So this dude was 46, and he would smoke all of the young officers. We were like the fittest guys on the base, and he would smoke all of us in his workouts. And it was like,
crazy.
Okay, there's something to this. There's something to this. But anyways, I would have to plan these giant like PTs for 150 Marines. But I loved it. I loved just being like, no, get after it. Because a lot of them, they're 18, 19 years old. They've never been pushed. They weren't on sports teams. They joined because it made sense. They were poor, or they always wanted to serve. But a lot of them, which might have been a nerdy kid that didn't do anything. So it was like getting that guy to push, unlike when they were pushed by like their drill instructors and like boot camp and stuff like that. Being able to just talk to them, like, no, get after it. Like, I hate this too. Like, this is painful. Sure. But we're gonna do it anyways. We're gonna keep grinding. We're gonna keep going because I need you to prove to yourself that you can.
It's amazing what your body is capable of, and I really learned this lesson first do you free dive?
I have. I don't like being in the water as much as I like being out of the water. Sure. I like free diving, but it's not my thing as much.
And I'm not either. But like there were some guys that I was going to try to learn a little bit from, and I went 2 days to this spring, and they were teaching me some stuff, and they were talking about holding your breath. So I was practicing that, doing the methods that they were talking about, and like all of these guys were like, yeah, we can hold our breath for about 4 minutes, static.
Wow.
Static breath hold, and I'm like. It don't.
45 seconds. I start going.
Well, 45 is the average, like when you start to feel that. So, but what it is like they were telling me like anybody can hold their breath for 4 minutes. Like it doesn't. Anybody's capable of that. All it is literally, because what you have to understand is like have you ever tried this? Like, have you ever tried to push through? So like the longest static that I've done is like 2.5 minutes, which was really long for me. But what happens is
Y'all want to hear 2.5 minutes of silence?
So you can hold their breath. Yeah. So your body, you start to have.
We all pass out.
You have.
They never came back.
It's called contractions. Is that what it's called? I guess. I mean, not like you're giving birth contractions, but
your diaphragm is contracting.
Yes,
for sure.
I guess
it's trying to expel the carbon dioxide or whatever.
But it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's a very uncomfortable feeling. Your stomach is actually doing this, and you can do that for a very long time. Like your body can go through that experience. It's just uncomfortable. It hurts a little bit. It's not like that painful, but like your brain is telling you,
it's scary,
bro. You need oxygen. But you don't. Like, you're fine. You're okay. You have to mentally go, I'm fine. I can push through this. I'm fine.
Those guys are always so chill.
I know. But like that was a moment when I'm like, your body is so much more capable than we realize. Like, because literally they're saying, like, you right now, if you can just mentally do it, could hold your breath for 4 minutes. Like, there's really no. There's not.
Get after it, Brad.
Yeah, like if you.
Any 359 out of it.
Yeah. So it was just crazy to me to learn all of that, and same thing, with exercise or training. It's just your body is so much more capable than we realize. But to your point, like, we've just made life so comfortable, that we've just never put.
Absolutely.
We are afraid to put ourselves in these situations,
which isn't a bad thing, right? Like, it's just like
I like being comfortable.
Yeah, it's important. It's and we can't say that we want to leave the world a better place and then complain about people having it easier than we did. You know what I mean? And that's one of my pet peeves. Like, I could talk about this for hours. It's like the old generation being mad at the new generation because they don't have any respect. Like, I think it's like, I don't know if it's Aristotle or Socrates. It's one of those, thousands of years ago philosophers like complaining about how like the young generation has no respect for elders, and that's always going to be a thing.
Yes.
Like, they're always going to complain, and it's like, how can you complain about how they have it so much easier for you, but then also in the same breath be like, I want to make the world a better place.
I know.
I want my children to have an easy life.
It's a conundrum, you know, a never-ending conundrum of
People
cycle.
are always going to have something to complain about.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. Well, we just got to stop ourselves when we start complaining.
That's
because
right.
it's just like, it's just noise. It's just negativity.
That's
So
right.
you're putting,
And that's
you're
all you're
putting out
responsible for.
junk into the world that like, it's not helping you.
Right.
And like, I hate, it's the same thing too when people complain about their circumstances. It's just like, you know, I didn't come from anything crazy, but I definitely like had advantages that other people do. But I think I heard it described best. I can't even remember who said it, but it's like, lamenting about your circumstances has zero strategic benefit. Like, it's just like being mad that you're like, you have, you know, no advantages. Like, that's not going to help you at all.
No.
Like, it's like, you still have nothing. So it's like, there's probably someone with the exact same circumstances as you that's done more than you have.
Absolutely.
And they're just more resourceful. They've done more. They've worked
Guaranteed
harder.
somebody that was further behind you. Guaranteed. I mean, this is a big freaking world out there. And people have done some amazing things.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's like you can't get too cocky either, because it's like, you know, that there's someone out there that's outworking you, doing better
yes.
than you. And it's like,
Yes.
oh, God, I always say this with any like video I make or any like content I put out. I'm always like, man, that sucks. Like,
Well,
because
you
I just have
never-
a
yeah.
image of how good it could be.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. 100%. Especially this podcast, you know. Like, man, this podcast.
Like I said,
Yeah.
I think episode 200 will be
that's the money.
exponentially
Okay.
better than this one.
I'm
Most
excited to
podcasts
see
don't make it to
what
like 20 episodes, I don't think.
Oh, really?
I think most people quit.
Well, we're probably in a different situation than a lot of people, because like I guarantee a lot of people start a podcast like they just start a podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, exactly.
We at least have an understanding of like, okay, this is what it'll take if we want, and it's different for us too. Like, this is not something that we're trying to put all our eggs in a basket. Like, it's some we have a purpose for it. Like, there's a reason we do this, but like it's. I don't know. It's just a different thing. It's almost a release.
We had, I mean, we had low expectations. We weren't.
I think that's what it is. Like, real low.
We knew that this wasn't going to be like a hit right off the bat,
Yeah.
like, and we knew we were going to use this to build the other businesses we're
Correct.
working on, and this was just another platform to drive engagement and
and get better at our craft. Like,
it's
I mean,
not like we're trying to get rich off of podcasting or anything like that.
right? No, I feel like it's helped me too. Just even in my other content, you know, have just being
Helps you articulate better.
Yes, yes. You have to kind of think through things a little bit more, and you know.
No, it's
Yeah, but
huge.
definitely both have gotten better at that because, like, obviously we edit it, but like our first few podcasts, we'd have to take breaks like often trying to like figure out what
Get
we're
our
going to talk about or where
thoughts,
we're going.
yeah.
But now, like, we stopped in this one, but some of our latest podcasts, we won't even stop. We just go for an hour and we just figure it out.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, have you ever seen like a Joe Rogan podcast that goes for 3 hours
Yeah.
and they talk seamlessly? And like, it's people that don't go on podcasts a lot of time. He's just so good at just like continuing that conversation.
Yes.
But it's like 13 years of podcasting.
Yeah.
It's like no wonder
He's
like,
a master.
crushing
Yeah.
it, crushing. And I
But it
think-
looks so easy. Like, it's like, oh, yeah.
well, yeah, and I think he's naturally like a curious person, so he's like constantly asking the right questions, and he's not asking yes or no questions or anything like
Sure.
that. And it's like, oh, we'll explain that more, dive into that more. It's just, but it's again, it's a skill, and
Yeah.
anyone that's good at anything makes it look easy.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
sure.
just like, it's like, oh, well, he's just talking. Anyone can do that, and then suddenly you start a podcast.
Yeah.
You're like, well, we went for 3 minutes.
Go
Go,
for
what
it.
do I talk about?
Yeah, it's a lot different when cameras and microphones are in your face. But
Yeah.
this has been fun. It's been
has
a good
been.
one.
Thanks for joining
I
us,
think
Ryan.
we can.
Anytime.
I think we can wrap this one up. Are we still on the right thing? Oh, we got to do our BS at the end here. With,
have you listened to a full podcast?
I don't think I got to the end.
Yes.
Here we go. Oh my god. What you got, Ryan? Let her rip. Dude. Is this a little weird? Brant sucks at fishing. He's such a loser!
Come on, Ryan. You caught 150-pound tuna. I did. That's crazy. It's a big fish. Say tuna. I'm so uncomfortable right now. You know, that's a big fish, but it's not as big as my